Hello and welcome back to the Teed Up Golf Podcast. We have a huge guest, probably the biggest guest in Aussie golf right now. Man, very hard to get, but I found him. Ryan Peake is in Melbourne. Great, man. You're in the studio. How are you?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Back
in person.
Bits going on since in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's been pretty chaotic, but it's good to can always make time for you, Q.
So, mate, 2025 New Zealand Open champion. Couple of weeks to settle in. I know you've been back home in Perth with family and friends and all that stuff since the New Zealand PGA, which you went and played the following week. But how's it settled down now that you're winner on the Australasian Tour and Asian Tour? Like the dust has settled. How's it all feeling?
Yeah, back to normality, I guess. Still lots of things going on in the background and stuff like that, but a bit of a different experience trying to deal with all the interactions and stuff that comes with it, So it's been quite tiring, but I'm not going to complain.
Mate, it's been amazing to watch. Like we'll get into, I know the week over in New Zealand that you had, and the troubles you had getting there and all that sort of stuff. It's a pretty cool story, but since you've won, you've sort of had a lot of probably media people reach out to you, a lot of people wanting to tell your story, which has been told 2 years ago on the Teed Up Pod. If you haven't listened to it, go and do that. Thanks to a couple of blokes at the Live Golf Adelaide First Edition at a pub in Adelaide. They told me about you. I didn't know who you were, and they told me to get you on. So shout out to those boys who did that. But what's that been like? You've now got the blue tick on Instagram, and it's all happening for you. But what's that been like managing that? And how's your team been?
Yeah, tax deductible, that one, $30 I think you pay for it. So, no, it's been good. Verified now. Lots more followers and things like that. Lots more friends are starting to reach out that,
friends, eh?
It comes with a friends. Yeah, I've never met him before, but apparently we're really close. So, any fan's a good fan. Just trying to settle in with it all. Kind of getting a good understanding as well on sort of how relentless these top guys are in the world as well. I've been dealing with obviously lots of media stuff, and it's just been so tiring, really tiring. And these guys do it week in, week out, and then go win again. Bits to learn there as well. I try and be a bit of a people pleaser as well, and try and speak to everyone and things like that. But, kind of get and manage through it now, and how I've got to kind of, in some ways, learn to say no as well and put myself first.
Yeah, you've got a great team around you. Obviously, Richie Smith leading the charge over in Perth for you. He's coached you since you're a kid, since everything's happened in your life to where you are now. How much of a sport's that been? He's got the stable like Min Woo Lee, Min Ji Lee, Hannah Green, for those who don't know. So some of the best players in the world who happen to be Australian as well, which is cool. But how's Richie been in guiding you through? I guess like you won the Sam Out Invitational in December, and you've been on a bit of a tear since then, playing really, really good golf. But how's that been? How's the support from Richie been? We spoke about it last time you were on the pod.
Yeah, Richie's good. He's got the people in the stable, like you say, that have been there and done it, and he knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows how to do it. He knows how to get it done. But he best thing about it as well, he knows how to approach you after as well, because as sort of excited as you may be, in a nice way, he'll humble you pretty quickly as well, and then let you know to get back to work. So it's he's great from all angles. Not just obviously he was excited for me. I'm sure he was excited as well for himself. But it's after the excitements and celebrations were done, he's straight on the phone just saying what's next and where we've got to go from here.
That's all. I think you need someone like that in your corner, and we've been lucky enough to have Elvis on after his couple of wins, and he's now working with Richie as well. So there's something going on over there in the Richie Smith stable this year, and in past years. But how's it been working within the team with the players? So obviously Elvis, we saw him when you're walking off 18 at Millbrook. Passed you the phone. Richie was obviously on the phone. How's it been with the other boys in that stable? We saw Joshy Greer run on. And
like obviously, that was probably one of the greatest moments out of it all when I walked off and Richie was on the phone with Elvis. You had, Greer, McKinney and stuff come running onto the green as well, Aaron Wilkin. But speaking from a team perspective as far as Richie guys, Greer out there, Min calling me the morning of that final round as well.
Yep.
It's pretty cool, and they reach out. I mean, Min literally I think he just walked off after the third round at the event, and he just shot 3 under, and I think he'd just come out the scoring hut, and him and Richie were on the phone to me. Now trying to get me ready to go. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Like we're seeing that in golf, the team aspect sort of taking over a bit, which is awesome. We've seen it from the Ryder Cup forever. We're seeing with Live now how the camaraderie and things like that helps everyone lift and be better. Do you take things from the other players as well when you're like practicing with them? We've spoken to Elvis about what you guys do in your off seasons. It's chipping comps, putting comps, 18-hole games. Have you learned anything from like the guys up the top of that stable?
Basically, just our practice is, we'll try and get as many guys together, and it's got to be competitive training. Whether that's play for some. Generally, it's play for some money out on the course. Nothing major that's going to cause disruptions with friendships and things like that. But you can go out there and just play a stroke play against 4 guys, and it doesn't really. Some of those putts don't really mean anything. But once you chuck a little bit of money on it, there's a little bit of banter going in it as well. It brings a few nerves.
I think it's awesome, and I think it's the start of a long, successful career for the Richie Smith stable. Dominated the Aussie Order of Merit this year. You and Elvis, 1 and 2 right now, mate. Let's talk about the incredible week you had at Millbrook in New Zealand, a town which on TV, easily the best tournament to watch. Most picture the Remarkables in the background. Tell us about your week. Like you had a hiccup at the airport trying to get over there at the start of the week.
Numerous hiccups at the airport. I was flying out I was aware that there was going to be some issues. But I got in there a couple of years ago. I didn't think the issues were going to be as intense as they were. Then obviously went with my partner and the kid to the airport in the morning, and so I scanned my passport, and I kind of seen her scan it again, and then she tried to scan it about 5 more times, and she couldn't figure out what was going on. As soon as that was happening, I knew exactly what was going on. And then they advised me that I couldn't leave Australia. I was flagged not from Australia side, from the New Zealand side. So basically it was you can't travel until this is all finalised. And then I was on the phone for the rest of the day, along with my team as well. We're just trying to Michael Gladding as well, the tournament director of New Zealand. He was working hard behind the scenes as well through their immigration. Couldn't quite get it over the line, so tried again the next morning and thought it was done, and went there the next morning, had the exact same issue.
Oh wow!
So
it was on the Tuesday.
That was on the Tuesday, and then it was basically this afternoon. Then I had a flight in the afternoon. It still wasn't finalised. So changed the afternoon flight to the Tuesday night flight. And I thought this was pretty much the last flight that I was could really get on.
Yeah.
So that was it. So I've been in some nervous situations, but this one's right up there because I had my partner and stuff. I sent them to New Zealand because I knew it was just easier for me to get there myself than it was to try and book a heap of other flights. And I went there and scanned in, and had the same issues. It still wasn't finalised. We got on the phone to immigration, and I spoke to them for about 15 minutes, and they said, "Oh, you're going to have to call us back." So, everyone's checking in. I'm still just sitting in the corner. We called them back about 20 minutes later. Spoke to one of the bosses over there, and they said, "Look, we know it's been approved, but it just hasn't gone through the system and been approved."
Yep.
But then we agreed that they were like, "Okay, it's probably going to get approved whilst you're in the air, so we're going to waiver it, let you on the plane, and then we'll just grab you when you get off the plane, and we'll just sort the rest of the details out." So, I hate flying.
Yep.
Anyone that flies with me knows how petrified I am, and they, when everyone's recording every single flight, it's obviously looks pretty bad how I'm acting. But that was probably one of the most enjoyable flights that I actually didn't care about turbulence. I was just happy to be on that plane, which I never thought I would say them words ever.
Yeah. So you get there to Queenstown after everything that's going on. You would have got there Wednesday. So you've essentially got a day to get ready for a national open. What did the Wednesday look like for you? You had a pretty big week, which we'll touch on. It's off the golf course as well. But what was that like? Getting there, you're in a bit of a rush because you would have had your routines and your plans that you'd normally go through on an Aussie tour event. But what was that like? Just getting all your prep done in one day? Because that's the first time you played at Millbrook.
Yeah, first time I played at Millbrook. Also had my caddy Fitzy as well that I'd been liaising with a couple of weeks up to it. I couldn't really lock a caddy in because I didn't even know if I was getting in the country as well. So
Yep.
I did speak to him when I was having the issues and just said, mate, look, if you can find another bag, jump on that because I don't know if I'm going to get there. And he said, oh, we'll see how we go. So I actually got him to go walk the course on the I think it was Hosen down on the Tuesday. And he said, no one's out here practicing. I said, I know we've never met and I don't want to come across as that guy, but can you whack the wet weathers on and go walk it for us? So he did. He went out there and he walked the 36. And then I messaged him when I got through and just said, mate, it's going to be 36 holes tomorrow. He doesn't know. He didn't know how far I hit the ball. He didn't know nothing about my game. He just sort of took as many notes as he could, and I was just relying on him on the Wednesday to just tell me, where run outs were and things like that. So it wasn't an in-depth 36 hole practice round. It was more like I just wanted to hit every tee shot. If I was 100 metres out, I would kind of pick it up and walk to the next. I would kind of back myself from the week that I'll hit the green from there, but have a look at the greens and things like that. But we got 36 done, and I was fortunate enough as well. I copped the afternoon side of the draw on the Thursday as well, so I got to get some sleep in and stuff like that, and then finally settle.
Went out and shot a 67 opening round, 64 second round. Going into the weekend in pretty good shape, mate. What is it like? We saw Riggs Johnston come out, win the Aussie Open with no practice round around Kingston Heath. At your level of golf, like, what do you do when you don't have the ideal preparation? Like, we've had a few people in the DMs sort of wanting to know about your mindset, but what's it like getting to an event a little bit rushed? You had your family there. You're trying to keep them happy, looking up. You've got more things just to manage than hitting the golf ball. But how to just settle yourself down to go out and shoot 67 on the first round?
There was, nothing particular. I think if you look back at it, you would probably just say that. I guess you just back your ability. You've how many times have you gone and done as much prep as you can for a tournament and open with a 76. So as much as preparation settles you, it doesn't define that you're going to go out and just make birdies everywhere. So I guess I kind of just thought to myself, I hadn't played the course as much as I wanted to, so I just had a game plan where it was, to keep the big scores off the card because I'm not 100% sure about the course and the feeling off it where I'm going to make birdies and things like that. And if they come, they come. So it's as long as every bogey I didn't make is one birdie that I didn't have to make as well. So it was kind of like a steady game plan, and things started going my way. I thought I could attack a little bit more, and that's pretty much it.
It's good, mate. The weekend, pretty crazy. You'll fall back going into the final round. But first time in contention, I guess, for you in a really big golf tournament. It's a Pro-Am format over there at the New Zealand Open. I think it's great. The Pro-Am format, it really helps prop up these smaller national opens in terms of the cash prize and things like that. But tell us about the weekend when you're in contention, cameras on you, everyone's starting to talk about you, starting to get through, like, Flushing at Golf, all the feeds are pumping up, like, your backstory. Obviously, everyone knows it, how you've got to where you are now. But what was that like with a bit more expectation on you, and how'd you manage that?
Well, I guess for over the last year, I'd kind of, whether it was your World Sand Greens that they play or, been in some of those regional qualifying Pro-Am events and things like that where you've got some cameras. I hadn't played in front of cameras for a long time, and the first time I did, it kind of really got to me. More so, maybe. I don't know, just unprepared situations that I was in, like, not staying in the moment and probably hitting a golf shot on camera and little voices in your head saying, are they saying I'm playing the wrong shot here? Or I don't know, just, I hadn't been in that position for a long time, and, I'd stuffed a few events up because I'd got in my head of myself because of thinking about that stuff. So, that's just obviously, repetitions right, the more you're in front of the camera, the more comfortable you're going to feel. I just didn't feel anything that week. I wasn't rattled about, fans. I wasn't rattled about cameras and things like that. Obviously, there were some nerves there, but probably the best advice I got before that last round was from Richie. And I personally would have thought he would have said, go out there. There's going to be lots of people there watching. Obviously, there's going to be cameras. You just got to block it out. And it was totally opposite. He said, mate, I want you to make the crowd feel involved. He's like, every person that says good shot or speaks to you, he said, go out of your way and thank them. And it's probably the best bit of advice I've probably got, really, because there may have been, 70, 75, 80% of the crowd probably wanting me to win.
Yep.
Apart from when Tomo was coming down the last as well, it was probably even between me and him. So, people wanted to see one of the Aussie boys get up, but Absolutely. Then obviously when I had the one shot lead going down the last, by just embracing the crowd, making them feel a part of it, mate, I reckon I had 97% of that crowd on the last hole wanting that putt to go in. So, I know we say, you just got to block these cameras and stuff out, but it's a real life thing. It's actually happening. I think just obviously embrace it, and that's the advice I got. That's what I've done, and it just worked.
Let's talk about the last few holes, mate. You're into contention. Guantak Ko, who was the overnight leader, I think he had a 4-shot lead. You're playing with him. Tomo and someone else's. Who was in front?
It was Snyman. The South African. I watched it. I watched some of the last few holes. Sorry, I had to cut you off. I actually watched some of the last few holes. And obviously I missed that putt on 16 where I thought that might have that might have cooked me, because that's going to release some of the pressure on them as well to hit one close on 18 or whatnot. But mate, I watched that Snyman's putt on 17. I don't know how that putt didn't go in, and then I watched him on 18 as well. I watched the replay of that, and if 17 didn't go in, how 18 didn't go in, I don't know. I think there might have been a few golfing gods helping me to get over the line as well, because there was a lot of guys that hit a lot of putts that could have put some real pressure on, and obviously to win, everything needs to go. Obviously, I missed putts as well. I'm sure everyone did for the whole week as well. But if I look at those closing holes, there was they didn't. They weren't trying to give it to me. They definitely weren't trying to give it to me. But I thought they got quite unlucky as well with a few of those putts. Yeah,
absolutely. Like Tomo went out and shot a 63. I think it's a 9 under to almost win. His putt on 18 as well. That was so stiff.
I actually spoke to Tomo in the change room before the last round. He was doing his stretches. I was putting some sunscreen on, and I think we were actually talking about the national. And he said he wasn't sure if he was getting in or whatnot. And he said to me, but obviously we'll see how today plans out. If I win today, then I don't need to I won't need to play national. And I didn't even know where he was on the leaderboard. And I was thinking, like, I'm 4 back, and I was like, he's not in my group. I was like, I wonder how back he is. So like, he's literally in that change room doing his stretch and just in his head, like, I'm going out and shooting 62 today to win this tournament anyway. And he went out and shot 63. Yeah. I thought that was like a pretty cool experience from it as well. 63. It's a big score on a Sunday.
Yeah. All right, mate. Let's talk about that 18th par 3. Awesome finishing hole. If you haven't seen it and you're listening to this, go and watch it right now. You're standing over that tee shot. You're pretty much, it's a big green. You miss it left, I think, and you're cooked. Is that right?
Yeah.
You've hit it right.
Yeah.
Very smart play.
Yeah.
Take us back to your head and where you were on the first tee box, on that 18th tee box, 72nd tee box. You haven't made a bogey for 53 holes of the tournament, which was unbelievable. Which had about
57.
57. Jeez, he's pretty good, isn't he? No one's counting. Take us back to that moment when you had to hit that tee shot and you knew it was on the line. Take us there if you can.
Yeah, I think it was 154. There was a little bit of I actually pulled off the shot. There was a little bit of wind behind me, but we obviously had the grandstands behind as well. So I did pull off it, and then I just asked Fitzy. I just said, "Mate, has that wind died down a little bit?" Because I use a pitching wedge, and he said, "No, mate, it's all there. It's the right number." So I knew, all right, I've got the right club. The only thing I couldn't do was come out of it and come up short left because that's soup and probably making double because, I mean, after that adrenaline's gone, I'm feeling pretty flat, and I dare say I would have lost my hands as well. So I actually went for, obviously, the smart play, centre of the green, just take the water out of play. And, you know, I obviously tugged it a little bit. I've obviously just rolled the wrist over just a fraction more than I wanted to, just to make sure that it wasn't going left. But when that ball was in the air, my heart was in my mouth, because I was like, I've pulled it a little bit. It's going to go a little bit further, and I wasn't sure where it was landing. And then where we seen it land, it's obviously landed in the gully. And on camera, it actually landed quite soft and just pulled up in that rough. But from the tee box, it looked like it took a massive bounce, and I thought it was one bounce in the soup, and that's why you just see me just standing there, kind of like looking around. And mate, I reckon my head's just gone straight to the crowd, looking for every single official there. I just wanted to know where that ball was, and they said it was fine. So that was probably the most nervous I was on that hole.
Really?
Well, I thought it was in the soup. And you know, how many tournaments do you start? I've stuffed up so many tournaments from just, I guess, letting, you know, maybe nerves or whatever. I actually wasn't that nervous. Obviously, I had adrenaline, but I was just thinking, just for once, can you not just look like a loser and bogey a last to lose a tournament or something? Just don't do it to yourself. As soon as it was going right, I'm like, you've done it. Like, you know, like you've done it. So yeah.
All right, you go up there. You've got your, what is it, 20-metre chip?
Got it. Yeah, 20-metre chip. Across the green, where the pin actually sits, it actually sits up on like a bowl, so it goes up and then down. I know, like, people have said, you know, if it goes past the pin, like, you're not going to hit it in the water, but obviously visually it looks like you can. I think the only way you'll hit it in the water is if you thinned it. And it actually reverted back to, I've walked down, I've had a look at the lie, and it was actually the WA Open at Mandurah. Simon Davies from Titleist. I was organising some new wedges. I've always chipped with a 58 tee grind, or when tee grind come out of like very minimal bounce.
Yep.
And he actually said to me, he goes, oh, how about we chuck like a 56 in the bag? It's got 8-degree bounce, and then you've got your 60 with 4-degree bounce. He goes, obviously for your tight lines, you can use 60, but he goes, I know me personally, this is his words, I know me personally that if I was in a high pressure situation, I would want that extra little bit of bounce that can give me a little bit of error. Because I'm like, oh, okay, no worries, let's put a 56 in there. And as soon as I've walked down, I've seen that lie. That was honestly the first thing that come back to me, and it was just like, high pressure situation, a little bit of extra bounce, a little bit of error, and I just said the 50, it's 56. I'm chipping with that. Like that was so. You know, it's funny in that sort of situation. That's something that you revert back to. That's something that was said to me 3 months ago. So, you know, it was easy choice for me to pick what club I was going to chip with, and it was sitting nice on top of that rough as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's easy chip.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah. I made it look hard.
Oh mate, 10 foot to win, roughly 20.
Yeah, it was maybe 8.5. Between 8 and 10. I
We'll go
don't
10.
know. Yeah, we'll go 10.
So on TV, we'll talk about what happened to me while I was watching. I was home. I managed to have the family vacate for the last few holes, so I could have some peace and quiet. 10 foot to win. You know, biggest moment in your golfing career. You know, the crowd's all on your side, and it was probably the best celebration I've seen in Aussie Tour golf for a long time for a winner. Like people coming on, and you know, it just shows how much you loved behind the scenes on the Aussie Golf Tour. But take us into your head that last 10 foot to win the tournament. Yeah, it looked like a really tough putt on tally.
Yeah, so I've actually, I'll show you after this. I've actually got a couple. I think Crabber's recorded it actually and sent it to me. He actually had a down the line putt off it, so you can actually see the actual break.
Oh,
yeah. So obviously I've chipped it up, and I thought, okay, well, I was when I first walked up before to assess the chip, I was. You kind of see me looking around the hole. I just wanted to see where I was going to have a putt that was, you know, somewhat straight and if anything uphill. I didn't want like a downhill slider or whatnot.
yeah.
Obviously, I actually didn't hit a bad chip. It was just there was actually a little bit of grain there, and it's just checked up really quick. And you know, I would have thought with the adrenaline, it might have just come out a little hot off that as well. Maybe not spin. Anyway, I actually hit a pretty good chip, but it didn't look that great. But then I was thankful as well. I was like, it kind of settled me again a little bit because, you know, if I had a 2.5, 3-footer, everyone expects you to sink that, yeah. Whereas from 9 foot, 10 foot, you know, yeah, it's for the win, but you're not expected
40%,
you're not expected to sink it. So so that was like a little bit of blessing for me as well, to be able to have a putt from that distance and not the 3 foot for your first win. And then I kind of just had a quick look at it from both sides, and I knew where it was breaking. It was it was aim half a cup outside the right, and if I can literally just start this ball half a cup outside the right, the green was going to do the rest of it for me. It was just going to push it back, and that was what it was. I got over it. I actually when we went down the last hole, Heath told me, he goes, you're one ahead. I was like, okay, no worries then. So no, he asked if I wanted to know. I said, yeah. He goes, do you want to know the position? I said, yeah. And he goes, one ahead, because I wasn't actually sure what the group in front had done.
Okay. Scoreboard.
Scoreboard. Yeah. So I wasn't sure what they had done. So I was like, okay, you're one ahead. And then obviously with everything going on around me as well, when I got the ball off my caddy, I asked him for my bottle of water. I said, Fitzy, grab me my water. So he grabbed me my water. I just, took my time, done everything that you should do, just trying to settle it all. And I just said, I looked around at the leaderboard because I didn't know what the group in front had done. And they only had the team scores up on the leaderboard. It didn't actually have from the pro-am, didn't actually have the individual. Oh. So I was like, well, I'm not sure what they've done. So I asked Fitzy, to clarify, I just said, mate, now's not the time to lie. I said, is this for it? And he said, yeah, mate. He goes, this putt's for it. And then I said to him, I just handed him my water. I just said, no worries, watch this. And then and then I just put the ball down and hit it. And then when it was, a foot out, I knew it was in. And the rest was history.
Absolutely, mate. Absolute history made at Millbrook. The celebrations, obviously, we saw everyone run on. I could identify a few: McKinney, Greer, Wilco,
Jimmy Machasani.
Yeah,
Dylan Gardner was there.
Yeah, all got around.
It was pretty cool.
So cool. Family there as well.
No, just no family was there. I sent them back on the Sunday morning.
Oh.
Yeah, they were going to stay and come out. I was 4 back, and I had already actually booked their flight for the Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And we were going to change it and say, maybe hang around. I just thought, no, stick with the Jujus, And unfortunately, they would have been on the plane just not knowing what was going on and things like that. But no, we just stuck with, just stuck with what we already had planned. Yeah.
Post round in your interview, you're very, very subdued, having spent some time with you. You could tell that it was a big moment, and you're still coming to terms with what you'd just done. You said you're going back to your hotel to do some washing because you need some clean clothes, and you hadn't had a drink all year, which is unbelievable. Like it's amazing, like that you've done that. I've done that a few times in life, and it's amazing what you can achieve off the squirt. But I did. This is a good time to actually, mate, go to the messages. We'll go to them because we've had a lot of people send messages in and to ask you a few questions. And first one I got was actually from Dale Thomas, who used to play for
I know Tom,
Daisy. So Dale wrote, how did you compose yourself to make that putt to win in New Zealand? Effing clutch. What a king. Like, we've spoken about your mental things, but do you have anything you work on with your team to mentally calm down?
Not really. I think it's just, we've all put ourselves in, obviously I haven't put myself in that high of a position before, but, from when you win your first junior event or whatnot, it's all somewhat the same feels, I would have thought. And it's just that there comes a time where you've just got to overcome it. That was my time to overcome it. If you want to advance in the game or in any level of sport, there comes a time where you're just going to have to I guess face it and just nut up and do it. I've had heaps of chances to do it. Hadn't done it, but to be honest, maybe probably the sandbelt when I sunk the putt to win in the playoff. It was probably the same length, and it was actually the same kind of breaking putt. Yeah. This one broke a little bit more.
I was down the line.
But that was another thought that went through my head as well. I was like, well, you've actually done it before, so let's just do it again.
Love it. Paul O'Connor, I'm guessing, Paul. Yeah, he wanted to know, what was your nutritional timing like in the aftermath of the New Zealand Open?
Yeah, it was much better than Gippsland, that's for sure. I wasn't missing this tea time.
Another one we got was from Ollie Goss, and he wanted to know when he fell in a drain in Malaysia, why did you laugh instead of helping him out?
Well, that's his own fault. Who falls in a drain? I remember that. I still tell this story. Jesus.
Nick Jern wrote, do you ever get judged by your tattoos and appearance? Like, he's got full sleeves, and especially around golf courses, he tries to cover them up. Like, obviously, you're covered in tats and you're a big, tough looking guy. But how do you manage that?
I think having tattoos is the least of my worries, to be honest.
How have you managed that in the aftermath? Like, I've seen some comments and people getting stuck in here a little bit. I guess your story is what it is, and that's what you said post-round. You've moved on. You're a completely different person from what you were back then. But how have you managed that in the aftermath as well?
I mean, if we were in this sport, 20, 30 years ago, it probably would have been a little bit more frowned upon. But I think just tattoos now, like it's quite a common practice that everyone has. There's plenty more high level athletes than me that have got plenty more as well. But it's never really been. It could look scruffy at times, and it doesn't look. You don't look as clean cut and appearance wise out on the golf course. But I've never claimed to be that person either. So. Yeah, we've dealt with it fine.
Love it. Ben Cameron, 23, wants to know, how did you go 57 holes without a bogey in New Zealand when you can't go a bogey-free 18 in Snakelands?
It's probably one of these better reporting questions he's ever asked, I reckon.
Don't quit your day job, man. Great question. How proud of yourself were you after the win? You've been through the ringer, mate. As you've said in the last time we spoke, you put yourself in the position you put yourself in. You've had to deal with the cards you've been dealt since then. But that moment when you were getting yelled at by that older fella as the winner of the New Zealand Open, on reflection, how proud of yourself are you for overcoming everything you have to be where you are now?
Yeah, I think right at the time, that's why I obviously stayed pretty composed out on the course as well. I've had lots of people message me saying how calm and collected that you looked when you were out there. And, there was only a couple of times that I knew that were pivotal moments in that round where I sunk a putt and I knew that was an important putter. Maybe give it a fist pump here and there. I think there was only one, maybe two of them max for the whole day until that last hole. And I obviously, you can imagine there's lots of emotions trapped inside of my head, good, bad, evil, everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to I knew as soon as it come out, that could have taken over the self-control I had on the course today. So I kept my emotions to a minimal. But, obviously they all come out on that last putt. Yeah. But it wasn't so much me when that putt sunk. I wasn't I'm proud of it. It was more I just couldn't wait to make the phone calls to, mum and dad and stuff like that. It was more of a this is for them moment.
Yeah.
And then obviously as the days went on and I kind of got to reflect on myself and say, that this is pretty cool. Now I've set myself up for a while anyway. Yeah. But at the time it wasn't about me. I was just relieved for them in a way.
Yeah, you spoke about a couple of years ago when we first chatted about your family and the impact they've had on your life and how close you are, and I guess your troubles in the past, how it's probably brought you closer as a family. You've obviously seen your family since now, since the win. What was the overriding emotion from mum and dad and the crew?
I mean, it was actually a hard one because we had obviously spoke on the phone and messages and stuff like that, and they were just so proud. But they were actually in Bali. They actually went to Bali a few days after the win that they'd already had booked in.
Yeah.
So I actually never got to see them until Saturday night.
Oh, just gone?
Yeah, just gone, yeah. Oh. So it was there was a big gap in between as well. Went around there and had dinner at the house. It was like a celebration, birthday dinner, all that sort of stuff put together. So time had gone past it. I think there would have been a lot more tears if it had have been 3 days later because the time had gone on and they're pretty good as well. They know that I'm just getting absolutely pumped from all angles, and they they try and just dull it down a little bit as well, because whether or not they think that I've had enough of it or whatnot, so they don't ask too many questions. But no, I took the Portrush flag around there, my trophies and all that sort of stuff, and give them to Dad and said keep them here and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
Mate, that's unbelievable. Like, I know from just chatting here, the support they're giving you over the years is it means the world here. Portrush, we're sitting here with an open bag from a couple of years ago. You're heading. When we spoke, you said if you could play in a major and win one, it'd be the Open. It's got your start, so you got a chance. Like, how cool is that? Like, not only do you set yourself up, I guess, financially and got a job for a couple of years at least. You don't have to go back to Moona, which is nice. Yeah. What does it mean to get a major start, mate? It's pretty mint.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really soaked it all in that much. Obviously, I've still got a couple more events left in this season, and then work out what happens from there. Obviously, I'm aware that it's happening in July and things like that, but I don't want to put a dampener on it or anything like that, but I don't want to get too over the top with it either, because as much as it's my first major and things like that, okay, you're going to go and try and there to win, but unders or overs, you're paying overs to win, yeah. So so essentially for me, it's just another tournament, it's another experience, and then there's going to be other tournaments after that you're obviously going to have your eye more set on, as far as career moves and things like that. But not taking it away from the fact that it's a major, but it's more something. It's not the be all and end all. It's going to be a great experience. It's going to be awesome. But it's probably one of those things where if you said, you're going to play the Open for the next 4 years, it's probably the third or fourth year I think that you'd be going there thinking, let's I'm a chance here.
Your game suits, like you said, links golf, and you proved that down at 13th Beach in the hailstorms at the Vic Open. You got a bit of TV time there too, mate, with your ball moving. Let's chat about this season so far. So obviously you won the Sandbelt Invitational, which is a non-tour sanctioned event. You beat Dave Micheluzzi in a playoff, for those who don't know. Mika won the Aussie Order of Merit 2 years ago. He's dominating over there on the European Tour. One of the great men. He's been on this pod, 7 or 8 times. Plus, he's got you done cold. But what confidence did that give you to beat? I guess he's a top 6 or 7 player in Australia now. So to get him done in a playoff was pretty cool at Royal Melbourne.
Yeah. It was more, like I said in the interviews leading up through that Sandbelt and stuff like that, when Clates reached out and gave him an invite. I played those Sandbelt courses when I was younger, but, I didn't really have the appreciation I have now for the game, for, architectural designs of golf courses and stuff. I just played them, and, if I played good, I'm like, that course is all right. If I played crap, I'm like, yeah, don't rate that course at all. So when I went back there to play the Sandbelt, I was like, I just really wanted to just embrace the golf courses, really enjoy it. And, we played them like 4 days in a row on like top Sandbelt golf courses.
Days,
they were hot, like greens were baked and they were fast. They were running at like 12. I think Yarra was running at like 13. Like the balls were blowing off the green. So we played, and Royal Melbourne, we played the courses tough. So I think just to play 4 rounds on a very tough golf courses and get a win is, it does boost some confidence in you, that you can go, okay, I can play a course that's it's as tough as they can play it, and I can post a decent number around there as well, opposed to, just having like your soft greens, middle pins, and you shoot 7 under. It's like, well, it's not everything. But when you go play Royal Melbourne and you're trying to lay up to 100 metres out so you can hit a full lob wedge. Who hits a full swing lob wedge, but around there that week you had to, just to try and keep the ball on the green.
Yeah. It's good, mate. You learn a lot from all that. Season 24-25, so we'll just chat about it. The last 12 months, you had to go back to Moona. So you got your card on the Aussie Tour through Q School, which when we were on the pod last time, you said how much you hated Moona Links because you just couldn't conquer it. You've done that now.
Yeah, I don't know if I said I hate Moona Links. You said I hate going to Moona Links for Q School because I can never get it done. Like I can never conquer that course. But I love playing Moona Links for that fact that it gets me every time. Yeah. As soon as I rock up in the car park and I walk up there, I just always, scratching my head, just thinking, here we go again.
It's not me at every golf course.
Here we go again, So thankfully I'm not having to do that for a couple of years.
Yeah, what was that like getting your card? I know how hard you'd worked for it. Like we'd played the year before. I think we played at Woodlands, and you were sort of getting ready for Q school. But what was it like getting your card and knowing that you had a job, and how did your mindset change going in? Because you're pretty much playing on invites before that.
Yeah, I mean, I had I think I just had tournament membership from, getting the final stage and not securing my card. And, it was a big relief off the shoulders because, playing on that category where you get a certain amount of events and, entry lists are going so deep now in Aussie Tour. Like years before that, you would have got most events, but, you're only getting very minimal events. You're not getting any of the big ones. Invites are changing as well. They're trying to go more towards like your actually categorized players that are missing out as well. Because I mean, like you have a card in Oz now, like even WebEx events, like guys are missing out. Guys are missing out on events as well. So it was just relief because I knew that now I'm going to have a full schedule. Wasn't sure if I was getting in the big ones from where I finished. I thought I probably wasn't. But just knowing that I was going to be able to play enough tournaments now to go, now you actually have put yourself in a position to secure top 50 on the order of merit, which will then get you your card. Because I know that the years before leading up to it, when I was just playing those minimal events, it's such a grind and it's so much more expensive as well because now I'm heading there a week earlier than everyone else for pre-queues and things like that. You can't book in accommodation because you don't know how long you're staying there for, and it's torture.
Mate, it's been unbelievable watching you grow over the last 2 years. Ever since you just rolled in a one-hole challenge, stopped doing those pretty much on the back of that. Lost my ball. I think.
One and done, yeah.
Yeah, won't do that again. So obviously your story is we've mentioned it a few times. It's well told. It's been out there for a while now. You're going to have to travel a lot. We've had that trouble going in New Zealand. Like you've obviously got a really good team around you. What are some of the barriers and challenges you're going to face? You're now holding winners category on the Asian Tour and the Aussie Tour, soon to be Aussie Order of Merit top 3. DP World Tour card. A lot has to go right in other people's ways for you to get knocked off a perch. I don't think you can not have a card in a couple of weeks' time. But what are some of the things your team and you are working through right now? A lot of people have asked me, what's he going to do? I'm like, I don't know. But is there anything you can add to that?
Well, look, obviously I've signed with Cuts now and with, IMG and
management group.
And their management group. And, thankfully now the ball's in their court. They can sort all that stuff for me. There's immigration lawyers and things like that, and they're finalising everything on what exactly we need to get done. So, look, it's going to be tough to get into. There's some countries that are just, they're just not going to play ball at all, which is understandable. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We knew that, and there's some places that are going to be hard to get into as well. And by saying it's hard, it's not impossible. It's just obviously a lot harder for me. And it's just going to be just a time consuming thing where it's not like, unfortunately if I have an event next week, I haven't entered some of the events because I just wasn't going to get things done in time.
Yeah.
But lucky I've got, the 2.5 years on Asia at this point at least. So there's no rush to get over and, I'm not playing these last events to try and secure my card for next year. That's done. So there's no rush. I just finish Australia, get all the paperwork and stuff done. And, in 5 or 6 months' time when some of these countries may allow me to get in, then, we can go do it. But there's no real rush. It's just let's just get it all done properly first and don't want to have the issues of flying to a country and getting turned around.
Look at you, mate, growing up. Unreal. It's just not in a rush.
Growing up on a Monday, yeah.
It's great to watch. Mate, back to New Zealand. So you had an incredible week and quite a funny story came across my desk from you. Well, congratulations, firstly, to you and your partner. Thanks, for those who don't know, can you let us know what happened when you're over there?
So it's obviously...
I can't tell.
I'm still in disbelief about it as well. Obviously, got engaged over there on the Friday afternoon, but I've gone out for one of my sponsors. Holman. He's organised like a catch up lunch. I hadn't seen him since I got back, and an engagement lunch as well, and with him and his wife and. Me and my partner, we've gone then. Anyway, we're having a few drinks and stuff, and then there's like, we got you an engagement gift as well. So she's handed over to my partner like a bag, and it was some. Obviously, sorry, I'll go back to it. I've already stuffed it. Obviously, when we're up in the mountains, got the photos and stuff. I flicked them through a photo, said, "Oh, this is us," and was like, "Yeah, no worries." Then, so then she's handed over a gift, and it was some photo frames. So I opened up the first photo frame and the photo of me and my partner there in this nice frame and black and white, nice photo. And we're like, oh, what a cool gift. And they said, oh, the other one. So partners opened up the other one, and my partner's like, oh, how good. And they're like, oh yeah, I hope you like it. And then I've said, oh, give me a look. And I've had a look at this other one. I'm looking at it. I just laughed, and everyone's kind of looking at me. They're looking at me funny. And I was like, oh, this is funny, but I don't get it. They're like, what do you mean you don't get it? And I was like, well, like the photo. They're like, well, it's just off the time it happened, and you can just hang it up. It's just a good moment, you're down on one knee. I'm like, yeah, but this isn't me. They said, what do you mean? I said, this isn't me, right? And then she's looked at Holman, and Holman's like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, mate, that's not me. And then we're arguing back and forth. Well, you sent me the photo. I'm like, yeah, well, I've sent you the photo of us. But he goes, but you sent me this photo. I said, yeah, but the photo I've sent, the photo, by the way, was off Lucas Herbert and him down on one knee.
And Erica got engaged the day before. Yeah.
So I had screenshotted that photo that was all over the internet and sent it to him and said, oh, look, Herbs has beat me to it.
Yeah.
And that was the only message I sent. And he's somehow between that, he's sent both of these photos to his wife. She's printed and put them both in some frames. So now at my house, I have me and my partner hanging up on the wall, and right next to it, I've got Lucas Herbert and his
Erica,
his fiance, sitting right next to it. So I took
incredible.
I took a photo of it. I sent it to Herbs on Instagram actually, and he was having a laugh about it. I actually told him, I said, when I got some photos framed, I said, this is the stock photo that Target are running in the frames at the moment. And then obviously had a few more wines after that, because I've messaged him and asked if he wants to buy this photo frame off me, which
he can afford
which he declined.
Mate, that's incredible, and well done, Holmans.
Mate, it's
a great
that
story
funny.
for
It's
your
like
wedding.
you just like from the whole trip to how everything's happened, how my life's panned out now. Like you literally can't make it up, and the stuff that comes after with it, like photos, you just can't keep making it up. It just keeps happening.
Mate, I said when you won the other day to a couple of mates of mine, there's a movie in it. I was getting messages from mates who don't like golf or don't watch golf. Like, this bloke too, and they're all yeah. So there's definitely a movie in it, and it's an incredible story. And you've allowed us in 2 years ago now to follow you and spend some time with you on and off the course, which has been amazing. What's next? So obviously you've got the next two events. So we've got Heritage this week that you're in Melbourne for, into the National, which is the final event. Order of Merit, so you're currently second, you're 400 points behind Oliver Smiley, who already has winners category on the DP World Tour. So for those who don't know, on the Australian PGA Tour of Australasia, the top 3 places on the Order of Merit get a DP World Tour card. The first card being the best category, where you probably get more starts, maybe not the Rolex series, but pretty much everything else. And the next 2 a little bit lesser, so you don't get as greater access to the tour, but you still get starts. Where's the mindset at, mate, for the next 2 weeks? You need Butchie to win the next 2 to knock you off the perch, and you to play like me to probably not get your card, which is great. So you must be bloody excited to see what that holds as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're not going to put it past Butchie to get it done as well. If there's someone out there that can get it done, I mean,
he got 3 votes off course at Adelaide.
And I mean, he's pulled out of the international series as well to get it done as well.
Okay.
And look, and credit to Butchie as well. Like obviously, he's a great mate of mine as well. And he actually come up to me after I won at the New Zealand Open, and this, like, credit to him, like, this shows what sort of person he is. He come up to me and he just said, like, he gave me a hug and all that sort of stuff, and he just said, like, although I actually wasn't aware of the whole Order of Merit situation at the time, how much I was going to jump.
Yeah.
I thought he had that locked up. Well, we did have that locked up.
Yeah.
But he just put his arm around me and we just went for a chat, and he just said to me, he goes, like, the position that I was in, you would have thought that I wanted you to miss that putt for me, and he just goes, mate, I swear on my life, he goes, I wanted that putt to go in.
Yeah. Human.
And like it's tough thing for him. Like, I mean, he's going to get there anyway.
He's good enough.
It's a tough thing. You don't want to. be like, hey, like I'm not a get excited and be like, I'm possibly going to get this done or whatnot. I mean, not saying I've got it done. He's still he can still do it. Anything can happen, But just a shout out to him as well, and like credit to him. That's like pretty big play.
No, mate, we're in a great spot here in the Aussie golf world at the moment. We've got some young kids like Butchie and Harrison Crowe and all the young kids coming through. Lammy, obviously Elvis is doing great things. Yourself, it's so exciting what the PGA Tour of Australia is having to offer. What are you most looking forward to? You've got, a couple of events left, then a bit of a break, and then, what are you most looking forward to, mate? Like, you've set yourself up for a couple of years. You must be feeling bloody good.
Yeah. Obviously, just finish, like I wanted to come over and finish, like obviously after winning, I went and played the New Zealand PGA, and then
surprised you did that.
Obviously, a lot of people kind of were, but one, I was in New Zealand. New Zealand's like it's a beautiful country. I love it there for the times I've been there. It's one of my favourite places in the world, and that was to be decided when I wasn't getting let in the country, but when they let me in, it was still my favourite place in the world. But I think it was important as well to just stick with what I had planned out. Obviously, so many things had changed in the space of hours.
Yeah.
But I guess the best way to compose yourself and settle yourself was just stick with what you had set out.
Yeah.
And it was also wanted to do it for the Aussie PGA as well, like Dusty Felts and things like that, to kind of show as well that, although this is the path that was trying to promote us to where we want to go, and these are the things that they have put in place for us to get there.
Yeah.
I've obviously now capitalised on some of that.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to say, cheers, boys, I've got it now and I'm done with it. I think it was important to play every single event. Well, by playing the next three, I play every single event on the Aussie on the Aussie Challenger.
19 events,
So I think it was important to stick around and just sort of like see that out. And it's something many years down the track as well that I'll look back on and just be like, I played a whole season on the Aussie Tour, and by doing that, I got these cards and things like that. So, and the other guys that are out there playing as well. I mean, there's no slouches out on that tour. The tour goes deep. It's good golf, and when I rock up this week and I'm playing against great golf again, it's going to better me leading into the rest of the year as well.
Nice,
but I think it's important as well just to go out and reflect on it all as I'm playing, and wrap up the season with the rest of the guys. We've all been out there being a grueling year. We all know how hard it is. Obviously, I'm going to seek some rewards from it, along with a few other guys. But that was kind of the mindset behind it as well. I think it's important to not say, hey, I'm better than this now, because I'm not.
Yeah.
I've just had a good little run there, but it's just a way to say thank you, I guess, as well.
Unreal, mate. Well, mate, it's been a pleasure to have you on again. Always a great chat with you. You do it well, and the insights, mate. You're actually a highest downloaded podcast ever on Tee It Up. We're giving it 2 runs now. After you won the other day, I got it back up just for anyone who missed it. Had a couple of people at my home course down at Lonsdale. One, a surgeon. Big shout out to Rowan, came over to me like the other day when I was playing. He goes, "Oh, that Ryan Peake podcast, fantastic, love it." So, mate, you're cutting through to all demographics and people, and it's been a pleasure, mate, to watch you rise over the last couple of years, and can't wait to see what the future holds.
No, thanks for having me. Always got time for you, and I appreciate it. Shout out to McGill as well for the t-shirt. I'm sure
he'll replay this bit 40 times. No,
it actually fits me quite good. So, I thought I was starting to look a little bit more decent now. So
you're looking good. You're looking fit.
Yeah, ready to go.
Atta boy. Thanks, Peaky.
No worries. Thanks.
Cheers. Well done.